And we're back with more of V. And you know what? I did try the bonus scenario with technically the boss fights. Yeah, no. On this one, no. So we're gonna skip that one, just like we're gonna do with Cross. And we're gonna move on to the sub scenarios. Near Earth. In the Yamato Central strategy.
So, this would be the third world that the Yamato's been to.
For simplicity's sake, I'd like to assign the world's development names. Firstly, we have a version of Earth which the seas evaporated. That would be New Correct Century Dimension.
NCC.
We fought the Martian successors in AD Dimension, and this one will be referred to as Universal Century. So NCC, AD, and UC. And I think it's time I briefed you on this world. Much as your own world, the world of the UC Dimension has had its own 1 year long. Though our histories are quite different. And in this world it was 17 years ago, or 2 years before the war that the invaders came.
Those will be the hostiles Ryoma fought.
Well, it does seem a bit strange that someone from UC would have never heard of the Red Sea. I do believe we have a more than satisfactory explanation for this inconsistency.
Please continue, Captain Castellosa.
Humans assembled a robot army to repel the invaders, finally exterminating them in a decisive campaign on the moon.
Shin Getta Robo Armageddon.
It came to be known as the Lunar Conflict.
That must be where they use the Getta Robo.
Indeed. Ryoma Nagare fought in the Lunar Conflict, becoming something of a legend. But just as the fighting ended, he was imprisoned for the murder of Dr. Satomi, a Getta Ray researcher.
He claims he's innocent.
2 years later, a group of space colonies sued for independence from the Earth Federation. Side 3 called itself the Principality of Zika and declared war.
So if you're following, in this world, it's Shin Getta Robo Armageddon. And an alternate version of 0079.
So that's how we
And a key element in the fighting was a new sort of weapon geared towards mass production, mobile suits. Zeon, having already begun development on their suits, gained the upper hand at war. However, the tide turned in the face of sheer strength of the Federation. Of course it did. The same thing happened in our world, Zeon lost. But it was at this point that a critical historical diversions occurred in the NCC. In the closing stages of the war, Zeon had seen the loss of Solomon, a key strategic point, and Dr. Satomi had fomented insurrection on Earth. Wait just a minute, I thought Ryoma Nagare had already killed Dr. Satomi. It was revealed later that he been turned into a host by the invaders. Wait, were they parasites? Invaders have the ability to infect their surroundings. It is true for both organic and inorganic material, which makes for a very likely explanation.
I think I get it. So the ones we fought on
Enceladus must have melded with the surrounding mech.
The Federation had devoted most of its strength to fighting Alcyon, leaving Ryoma to conclude matters. He fought single-handedly in his Getta Robo against Dr. Saotome's force. However, in the midst of the battle, it was discovered that the invaders hadn't been exterminated after all. Faced with the situation, our Federation plotted a speedy resolution. Deuteron missiles aimed straight for the invaders, gathering point Dr. Saotome's lab. But as the weapon made contact, the Earth trembled under the weight of a calamity heretofore unseen, the second impact.
But why, sir?
What better name for an explosion so like the meteor impact that gave birth to our own world? We're still unsure as to the cause, but its effects shook the Earth to its very foundations. What else is the corruption of every existing sea? That would explain the Red Sea. While the dimensional quake did manage to destroy the missile, it also managed to release the Getta rays stored in Dr. Saotome's laboratory, scattering them across the planet. The damage incalculable. And after which, Ryoma Nagare became a ghost, according to the records.
I see. So, according to this world's timeline, the dimensional quake caused him to transport into a world more than 10 years later. 10 years after.
So the Red Sea thing did happen after you left. What are exactly are Getta rays? They are a variety of cosmic rays. Some say they have the power to hasten evolution. While they can be used as a power source, overexposure to them is wholly destructive, ecologically and biologically. Being the authority on Getta rays, Dr. Saotome's death put a halt to any research on the subject.
So the planet's hit by the second impact in Getta rays. Did that end the war?
Zeon, despite using their leadership with the defeat of the Zabi family, still had more than enough strength left to move the war to its end stages. The Federation was spending a great deal of effort towards restoring the Earth, allowing anti-Federation forces to consolidate their strength. 13 years after the war, created first as a means to aid in the restoration, the elite Titans had taken an increasingly brutal stance toward the colonies.
Leading into the events of Zeta.
The eternal spat known as the Grips Conflict, while Zeon had reorganized under Haman Khan, so began the first Neo-Zeon War. With Haman's defeat, the torch passed to Shar Asabo, sparking off the second Neo-Zeon War,
Shar's counterattack.
The same wars happen in our world, but some of it's pretty friggin' different.
Yeah, they even have the same exact names. They happen at different times here.
The Second War saw the Federation at a severe disadvantage. But by using an elite team mainly comprised of Gundams, the Federation managed to destroy the Neo-Zeon leadership and secure a somewhat symbolic victory.
But Neo-Zeons held on to a lot of its strength, which only means it's only a matter of time before the fighting starts again.
You couldn't be more correct. Neo-Zeon is currently laying the groundwork for its final battle with the Federation. All united under Shah Asabo's banner. He's in our world, him and Amuro. Yes, though Commander Amuro escaped to a parallel universe, he's still alive and well. No reason why the same wouldn't be true for Shah Asabo. Maybe that's where it can help us answer some questions we have about our own. Meaning what exactly? Where not sure whose fault it is, or if there's anyone to blame at all. A good deal of the 10 years that spanned Shah's rebellion, the Second World War, is lost to us.
Indeed. Was it's almost a century in the past. Not an attractive subject to many aside from a few historians, which of course leaves us in our current situation.
We are aware of the actions of the Neo-Zeon remnants in those 10 years, in a major terrorist incident after. I see. The Mufti incident here.
But for those who want to know what the Mufti incident is, this leads into Halfway. A series of plots designed to rebel against the Earth Federation, led by Halfway Noah, alias Mufti Nambu Adi. Although his purge of corrupt Federation Congress officials amounted to terror, the plots were supported by the public, who disliked the oppressive government. Eventually, Halfway, as leader of the organization, was executed by the government, and the anti-Federation movement died with him. So, therefore, Halfway's Flash.
So in this world, Neo-Zeon's winning the war against the Federation.
I don't know if it can rightly be called a war. At the root of it all, the 1-year war was a war for independence from the Federation. And because the Federation got the upper hand, the later conflicts could be looked at as a way of settling the bad blood from the 1-year war. It's all so sad. And now the fighting between Zeon and the Federation is coming to an end. Since the Axis drop failed, they will be more direct, trying to take Earth by force. 15 years of built-up hatred, delivered in the shape of total war.
Sounds like Japan.
In our world, it was the Jupiter Empire.
Mithril started as a private military brought in to prevent local militaries. But we worked with the Federation in the face of what seemed to be an indiscriminate attack from Zeon. You must have known your chances would be good. One doesn't fight in order to lose. I know exactly what you mean. Which means the Federation is bound to succumb to human infighting.
Yes, amongst Tanya with hatred. And when it finally blows over, you could hardly call that war.
The blame for some of it can be placed at the feet of the Federation. Rumors of atrocities that were committed. That Titan's image of a space noise extermination squad. We haven't forgotten that. The Federation's captain spoke of Rondo in the last battle. Who were they? An independent group within the Federation, headed by the Special Forces Unit. They played a major hand in securing victory in earlier fights against Neo-Zeon. They aimed to bring Morsel close in the early stages while avoiding excessive collateral damage. Among them are Commander Amuro, Judo Ashta, and Halfway Noah. They're also the ones whom Mithril finds itself in direct cooperation with.
So there are some out there who haven't lost their heads with hatred. Perhaps they're still.
Possibly. But there's talk of them being better used under the direction of the regular army. I would propose we touch base with Rondo before taking any further action. I'm sure they will be of great service to you.
Let's do that.
There is the question of supply. We'll contact this Rondo and gather more intelligence. Make sure we're safe. We'll also have to consider our future action.
I have to agree with Commander Akita. It's reasonable given our current situation. Understood. I'll put a word out to them.
And about this Gundam situation.
We're glad to work with you on the counterattack.
If you don't mind me asking.
Consider the payment for helping us in our fight. Our fates intertwine with the Yamatos. Until we all can get home, we should think of ourselves as allies.
And you have the deepest gratitude from both me and my crew.
The message we intercepted in the previous battle stated that Gundam forces arrived here 3 days ago.
We need to settle this before they drag this world into chaos.
Perhaps Mother can't drag them too deeply into our fight. But our Federation know about this.
We have a call from Commander Marcus, Captain. The Industrial 7 colony site has been attacked by Neo Zeon.
What? That's right.
The other half is being independent. So one side is saying, oh, you want to do that? Then that means you're going to be independent. So one side says, you're going to contact Rondo. The other half is staying independent.
At the briefing room.
Find yourself 10 years in the future must knock your socks off.
I guess. Still me, though. No use wasting energy on it.
Sure. There's gotta be people you want to see.
It's literally in the past. I mean, do what I want to see. Especially since it sounds like the old man bit it in the last battle. It can't be coincidence that we all end up here. I'll just stick with you for now.
Man, that would have sounded perfect coming from a cute girl.
Hey, it was hard for me to say it.
But thanks. Glad to have you.
Wasn't active for me. It's gonna be a long time. What's the deal, Mom?
I want to have faith in you too, Tetsu.
Okay.
So let's get both sides, shall we? That way, you know, we have both sides. We can do, and on top of that, well, set up stuff for the next couple parts for VA. I'm going to do the same thing for Cross. in short, what's being explained here is, say in one part of the story, everything did happen, but it happened differently. Like, let's say the events of Gundam, 1 Year War, Zeta, Double Zeta, they all happened the way they should have. The way they should have. The way they happened. And then, you know, you had Getta Robo, you know, went into Getta G, and then Shin Getta Robo, and, you know, Armageddon. It happened, you know, all the way down the line. And the other way is the opposite end. Like, Shin Getta Robo, Armageddon happened. Then, you know, 0079, which kind of split in one way, like saying one side the Federation was winning and Zeon was losing, while the opposite was technically, oh, what if on this end the Federation wasn't ready, but the opposite was happening? Zeon was winning and the Federation was losing. So in this case, we don't need any.
We're going to find out more about this world. I believe it would be best to work independently.
I have to agree with Commander Okuda. We've no reason to distrust Underworld, but it would be best for everyone if we stayed out of the feud. You're right. Jumping into the fray with this level of firepower will cause problems. Understood. Mithra will handle supplies for the time being. Are you sure? There's no need to even ask. Though our base being on Earth, you'll be coming to the planned surface. So you'll be seeing this Red Sea with our eyes.
And about this Gundam situation.
Glad to work for you on the counterattack.
We need to settle before they do.
So therefore, we have both sides. So despite what it says, there's like, oh, one end you have this going on, and the other half's like, you have this going on. So with that said, I'm actually going to stop right here, despite what I just did. And in the next part, we're taking the route split. We've called the route split as is. And on the A route, we are going to see about getting Velvet. So stay tuned, more of The Voyage right after this. Thanks so much for watching.